everyone. Thank you for yesterday.
Thanks so much.
Let me start by saying, my first question, is the Target exclusive Boba Fett Morak going to be on a basic card and numbered, or is it in the box deluxe expression?
So the Target exclusive Morak Boba Fett, he is a carded and numbered expression.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely. And speed round right off the bat. That's great. Matt, you're up next.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for doing this. Question is, the Boba Fett Typhon Black Series Typhon Jedi Ruins figure and the Dark Trooper have both been put up for pre-order this week, and it's February 2022. They have an expected release date of first quarter 23. These are both characters from season 2 of The Mandalorian from December 2020. This is a longer development and delivery turnaround, I guess, than we've ever seen for the Black Series. Can you guys please give us some background on the current timelines for the figures?
Yep, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, we've spoken in the past about how, sometimes we see things on the screen the same times you guys do. Luke in episode 7, we've spoken in the past about how, Grogu, the child, like that was such an amazing surprise for the world. And so we loved the impact that had, and kind of, how again, we didn't see it before you guys did, which is great given the impact it's had. So that's certainly part of it. The other part is just, obviously we all know what the past 2 years have been, and we all know what's going on with the world today. And, we're facing global logistical issues, and, we're working through those. Again, we're all on the same page. We want to get that product out as soon as possible. We also know that fans, you guys you want to look down the pipeline. You want us to be more transparent. And so that's why we've continued, revealing the items when we can, pairing them with the pre-order so fans can kind of make sure that they have theirs. But that does mean that the timelines are a bit further out.
Okay.
Cool. Stephen, you're up next.
I'm sure you've seen or heard the Wave 32, the Black Series, has been hitting some Target stores. Probably, unfortunately, it's not at the street that you wanted, I'm sure, but it's this kind of a lot of online stores can't place a pre-order yet, but it's in hand for some people. So any idea what happened there? Hopefully that's not going to be the case. It's not a normal thing.
Yeah, I mean, as you say, again, that's obviously not our goal, right? Like, there's
Sure.
no reason why we wouldn't want this to go as smoothly as possible. Like, it's good for you guys, it's good for all the fans around the world, it's good for us. So we're all on the same page, wanting that pre-order process to go as smoothly as possible. Again, there's just no reason to think we wouldn't be. Honestly, it just again gets back to the state of the world today. Like, things are complicated, and it's thrown us a lot of new curveballs that we're working through. As always, we've mentioned this in the past, like as soon as we get those curveballs, we're working to improve those. And again, we've made pivots even the past few months, switching more things to reveal without a pre-order, and then alerting when those can go on pre-order. All I can say is we're constantly working to improve. We have lots of meetings and conversations and whatnot to do that, and we plan to continue doing so.
Sure. And I just got to say, Emily, your shelves are amazing. I want to look at all of those toys on there. Anyway, sorry. Thank you.
I know. I don't even know why I try here.
No, yours is good. Come on.
No. It's okay. I know.
No competition.
Thanks so much. They do often ask if I'm at the office, but this is my dining room.
Great.
Oh, nice.
James.
Hello. Thank you very much for doing this. As always, it's very much appreciated. Our first question from our readers is, we really, really love the new playset, the new book of Boba. Yeah, I'm in the middle of got COVID at the moment, so just excuse me. I'm sorry. So the book of Boba Fett throne room looks amazing, and you've done a fantastic job on that. Questions from our readers are: will the previously released Jabba's throne room with dais and Jabba's palace adventure set connect with this and work with this playset?
Yeah, thank you for this question. This is a great one, and one I'm happy to shed some light on. The previous release, the 2010 Jabba's dais, it's definitely been in my collection for a while. It's been chilling like right over on the edge of the shelf over here for years. The great thing about it is that everything in this set was repositionable. Everything in the new set is repositionable. So honestly, it's going to be super easy to take the pieces from the top of that dais, set them right on top of this dais. Nothing in the new set is fastened down in a permanent way that would prevent any kind of reconfiguration for a scene from other eras.
Brilliant. And what about the Jabba's playset that you put out a couple of years ago, the adventure set?
The adventure set. So for this one, we did take a look at if we could get it to physically connect to the side of this one. Unfortunately, there's such a height difference because this one is able to offer the floor with that elevated stair piece up to the back balcony. So it was difficult with the height difference a little bit to make them physically connect. But what I can share is that we thought about putting these on the shelf next to each other. We really we looked at the sculpture of it, and the old one had this incredible crumbled texture across the top of the walls and the wash deco and the cracks and textures. We took that sculpt inspiration and that deco inspiration, and we tried to make pieces that are going to look really great, even sat on the shelf next to each other, though they may not physically connect.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Awesome. And James, just, sorry to hear about that. Obviously, our
Yeah.
thoughts go out to you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely. John, you're up next.
All right. Thanks, guys, for having the group back. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
When it comes to the play set, I think it's great that we're seeing bigger ticket items moving to Hasbro Pulse. And Patrick, you noted it will be our first entry into a new class of Pulse exclusives. Can you guys elaborate on that a little bit? Does that mean we'll be seeing more of the world building type stuff being offered, stuff like, as you mentioned, background characters, creatures, vehicles, kind of expanding that and offering it on Hasbro Pulse?
So this is a great question too. I think that this is a fun item for us to test the waters a little bit. We definitely want to see what whether this is a successful format to sell one of those medium to higher price items through the Pulse to fans. And I think that, that's something we'll be evaluating, and maybe that's a potential space for more of these world building type items. But it's definitely one we're going to keep a close eye on.
Awesome. Great to hear. Thank you.
Khalil, you're up.
Hey guys, thanks for having us.
Thank you.
We know you guys work really hard to kind of make us fans happy with the product that you guys put out, but some of the collectability of the original lines was the exclusivity. Like once Wicket was gone, you either had to track down an old one or find somebody that had a loose one. Now we have the ability to kind of wait for the retooling, redeco, and archive wave, another way to get a figure. So how much of collectability for you guys is in making some of these products that are geared towards older collectors, to kind of keep the value in that respect for it?
So I'll try to answer what I think you're asking. And I've said this in the past, like our dream world would be where we produce exactly as much as kind of people out there want it. Like that's, again, kind of our interests are on the same page there. Again, just it makes us happy with the jobs that we do, and obviously we want to make sure that fans out there kind of get the product. So in terms of kind of what you mentioned with kind of the scarcity in the past when we were all kids, that's certainly not something we're striving for, and kind of I think we're seeing kind of in recent years the amount of product that gets out there go up. So that's certainly what we're striving for. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, and just the idea of like, these are still in some way collectible. So the balance between making a collectible and making a mass market product, there's a line there that doesn't always kind of match up. So it's kind of protecting one and protecting the other. So yeah.
Yeah, and certainly, in both Vintage Collection and Black Series Retro, is kind of a different beast. But in both Vintage and Black Series, that's the balance we try to strike. Obviously, they are, when we launched both, they were clearly targeted at more of that adult fan. We know that there are kids that enjoy them as well, significant amount. So we know that that's the audience. But, as you mentioned, they are mass market, and we want to make them available to the widest amount of people possible. So we're always trying to strike that balance.
Thank you.
Absolutely. All right, back to the top with Chris.
And I'm not doing well. James already asked my second question, so I'm going to skip down the list. Another speed round question. Can you give us any update on when we can expect to start seeing the thicker card stock in TVC?
Absolutely. Yeah, I promise the answer to every question won't be, the state of the world today, but unfortunately it does just impact a lot. So we had announced last year, we had expected to see that later in 21 or early in 2022. It got pushed back a bit, just given everything going on, but I did confirm we would expect that in the next few months. So again, we made that change. There would be no reason for us to say that we had and then not. We made the change. It's just taking a little while longer to get out.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. Matt, back to you.
This kind of follows on from the last one, but it's just to get an idea. And I stress I'm not asking to for any specific characters, but with the delays and the timeline turnarounds and stuff, can we expect any characters out of the Book of Boba Fett in 2022?
So we already did get some in both Black Series and Vintage, both Boba Fett and Fennec. So we're excited to see those. I think it's safe to say we will see more. It was obviously, again, great piece of entertainment. Enjoyed seeing the conclusion yesterday. Again, in terms of timings, a lot of those things we saw at the same times as you guys did. We're working hard to get them out as soon as possible. And, certainly we hope that things with the world improve over the next year or so. We hope that some of these issues, we'll either find solutions or they'll just revert back. It depends on that state of the world, but we're doing everything we can to get those out as quickly as possible.
Cool, thanks.
Absolutely. Stephen, back to you.
It's the dreaded word exclusives again. We've talked about this many times before, and actually the last time we spoke, we talked about the mortar trooper, the yellow trooper from the Mandalorian and the Black Series, and actually more stock did come. So credit to you, you definitely listened, and I actually managed to get one. So there you go.
Oh,
but still on exclusives, is there maybe a way that we could look at some kind of, or you guys could look at kind of just reducing, like retailers maybe get it for 3 months or so for exclusives, and then it can maybe go to a fan channel or some other kind of way, because there's a thirsty audience out there to get this stuff. But if it's stuck at just a US store like Walmart, Target, it's a really hard thing to get for anyone else anywhere, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, etc.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think a few things there. I think we've said some of this in the past, but all of those, exclusives to Target and Walmart in the US, those are always offered to retail partners elsewhere in the world. I know it doesn't always come to fruition. And so we're continually having conversations to improve that, but those are certainly theoretically available. In terms of kind of why there are these exclusives, again, we said it in the past, but that artillery trooper, we wouldn't have been able to get that out, period, if it weren't for, the ability to do that as an exclusive. So, we value those partners. I value for my own collection being able to get those items in that we wouldn't be able to get otherwise. In terms of the shorter retail exclusive window, I'm not sure that would work. We do see some items go a little more broad after a longer period of time, and that could certainly continue. And, as always, I think I was in a conversation with Emily actually a few months ago, sharing out some information, and we're constantly kind of getting that information from you guys, getting it from our internal team, and sharing it to improve the process and fan experience for everyone.
Thank you.
Yep, absolutely. James, back to you.
We love all the new playsets coming our way, but without additional characters, they remain sparse. Whilst you cannot comment on upcoming products, can you ensure all of us that this is at least being considered, as the cost of buying some of the older figures is so prohibitive and puts people off spending $230 on a playset if they can't world build?
Yeah, so I would say that I like to support a playset with threads throughout the line, and I would never consider one of our playsets to be a one-off item. It's not a one and done. World building does mean more than the big hunk of playset. It means a little bit of the stuff to fill it with. And while we can't make promises that we'll be able to do everything that would fill a scene out, if we did that, we wouldn't be servicing, a balance across the many entertainments of Star Wars. I think you may see us come back to it a little later sometimes. And, we've done this in the past with items like, the Bespin freezing chamber. We followed up to update our Lando and our Lobot. We hope that you guys loved those figures. I did. And then as well, when we released the Navarro Cantina, we created the deluxe packs to fill that scene out with the incinerator trooper effects and the new update to the E-Web cannon. So it's something that I'm thinking about, is trying to tie those threads across the collection so that there's more than that one-off item. It's definitely on our minds.
Ugnaughts are needed for that carbon Bespin chamber.
I do hear you on that.
Awesome. John, back to you.
Just to piggyback off that, with Disney Plus having these very successful shows like The Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett, does that play into Hasbro's, and I know you're not in the finance area, but does that play into, expanding out the budget and saying, there's a successful thing going on here. We need to expand this and give these collectors more. There's an opportunity for us to capitalize on that.
Yeah, we can't speak specifically to budget numbers, but you know, obviously we've been thrilled to see those great characters. You know, it's been a fantastic, what has it been? I think it's only been 2.5 years, I think, since Mandalorian premiered, although has it been that long? It seems both a short and long time at the same time. You know, I think you've seen kind of the change in the lines over the past 2.5 years. If you just go back to 2018 or 2019, they're just in a very different place today, you know, in terms of the quality and also the quantity. You know, so we've been excited to make those changes. You know, we love where Star Wars is today. It's in an amazing place. You know, we're looking forward to continuing bringing those characters into the line. And, you know, when it's at a point where we can share those characters, whoever they may be, and it's not too far out, you know, we look forward to sharing them with you guys and with the whole community.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, our wallets are ready.
That's good. Awesome. All right, Khalil, back to you.
Looking at kind of like the way characters kind of change their looks, especially since there's TV shows, so there's weekly ways that they can change their looks. How do you guys balance out getting a figure sooner, like Cobb Vanth in the armor versus his season 2 look, with putting him out sooner versus later? Because the newer lines seem like they're a perpetual line. Like every year we're looking at what's next. Whereas in the past there was a finite number where you moved on, you know, episode 1, then you moved on to a new property. So knowing that there's kind of like a continuity here with Black Series and Vintage, how do you guys balance getting a figure out sooner and then knowing you can go back and doing something later?
Yeah, I think that I would say that we try to take an evaluation of a new content and figure out who are really the key players here. And I think that it's always going to be a high priority for us to answer the primary character cast first. But I would say that the well is always there and it's deep in Star Wars. We're still making characters from a 4-decade of history and Star Wars content, and it's never like over for a background character. I would say we still consider them, and there's a wealth of characters in Star Wars that I don't think that we ever feel like, oh, it's been a year, we'll never go back to it. So I would say that they've always got a future opportunity. We're just always looking for balance. And I will also say that the content is coming very fast these days. There used to be, years to make figures from one movie, and now the shows and the movies and the games are all on top of each other. So it is a tough balancing act for the team, and it does lead us to some real back and forth discussions. Like, what about this one? What about that one?
But we wouldn't want it any other way.
No, I mean, we wouldn't ask for less Star Wars.
Yeah. Awesome. Cool. Back to the top, Chris.
So Patrick, you've addressed this a couple times with the global shipping logistics going on right now. And you mentioned, a resolution one way or another. When that happens, will we see the waves start to ship back to back, like stack a little bit to play catch up? Or should we expect everything to just be delayed from this point going forward?
Yeah, it's a good question. It's hard to say in a vacuum, and I wouldn't want to kind of put something out there just not knowing kind of what other challenges would come across. What I can say is, whenever we get to that point, and just fingers crossed it happens soon, I think we would think about kind of what's the best thing for the community. Obviously, letting things just push out, that's not good. We want to get that product out there, letting them all stack up. We also don't want them to get backed up at retail and, the community not to have a chance to get them. So I think we try to strike a balance between those two things and catch up, quickly without being so quick that, again, we create more frustration. Because again, kind of one of our guiding things is making this as good as possible for the community and relieving that frustration where we can. So I think we try to strike that balance.
Well, I would just say with respect to brick and mortar retail and the vintage collection, you have nothing to worry about. It comes in and it's gone within days. So
yeah, it's good to know. Cool.
Matt,
back to you.
So this one's about price increases, and that they always do hurt. And I, for one, understand what's happening and what's been happening with the increased production costs, shipping costs, the cost of containers and stuff over the last 18 months. And I just wanted to put that in context before I ask this, which is there's a term out there in the collecting community at the moment, particularly with Black Series, which is the Boba tax. And that's kind of about this price difference between something like the Nomad Tython Boba Fett, which had a lot of soft goods on it, which we'd previously been told was the more expensive kind of aspect of figures, and something that we might have to expect to pay a little bit more for, like a Gamorrean Guard and stuff. And then there's the Throne Room and the Titan Jedi Ruins Deluxe Boba Fett. All these three figures reuse from each other a lot, and they also share with the Deluxe Return of the Jedi Boba Fett. It's just trying to get an understanding to this deluxe pricing of these recent Boba Fetts.
Yeah, no, and it's interesting you point out that Nomad Tython Boba Fett, he was in mainline, so it's certainly not simply that every Boba Fett becomes a deluxe because of the name. There's different things that you mentioned. Soft goods, that's certainly not the only or even the main driver. There's kind of size, how many pieces, how much plastic is in there, complexity, but deco's honestly a huge piece of it as well. And obviously we know that's a major difference between the Vintage Collection and Black Series and some of our other lines. It's that detail and just attention to complexity of the visual appearance of the figure. So and we wouldn't want that any other way. We wouldn't want to reduce that and reduce kind of the visual appearance of the figures. That makes them close to what we see on the screen, inspired by the screen. So they're honestly, we said this when we launched the Deluxe for Black Series, we have been trying to get a Grievous out for many years, and he just wouldn't work in mainline because of the size and the soft goods. There are other figures that we just wouldn't be able to do due to the deco. And so I think that's what drives that. And we're able to get them out as deluxe in Black Series or world building sets in Vintage. And so that's why we go the route we do. It's definitely not the case that any character with Boba Fett in the name would necessarily have to go that route. It's just the characters we can't get out any other way. But I'm glad you asked the question because I know that that's out there.
Cool, thanks.
Absolutely. Stephen, back to you.
Not an easy one, I know, and it's always a challenge for some of the things you mentioned, but it's rather really a question, more just a statement, just if you could help again, just in any communications you've got to try to broaden the scope. An example would be there's quite a lot of gaming greats figures, for example, GameStop in the US owns Zing and EB Games in Australia and Canada. It's now GameStop there too. So the fact that these guys have it literally maybe 24, 40 hours after it's been announced for, say, the States, it would just be really helpful because a lot of us and a lot of fans will literally try and place an order in the States, and then they're stuck with an order in the States to get it shipped to the country. And if they'd known at the same time, the communication. So basically, if there's anything you can do to improve comms, it would be really appreciated. So
yeah, no, I think this has come up before, and I think as a result of this question coming up, we've moved to on our live streams announcing where kind of all the product we reveal will be available for pre-order in the US, Canada, and the UK. Hopefully you saw that in our recent live stream. We'll continue doing that, and as Pulse continues to expand, we'll be able to do that for other markets as well. In addition to that, obviously that's on the live streams, that's for markets that Pulse is in. We're also continually working with kind of our broader global teams to get that information out there, and hopefully we'll see some improvements in the future.
Thank you.
Absolutely. James, back to you.
Just a reminder that these questions came from our readers and not necessarily from me.
Okay.
Toy Fair would normally be happening at this time of year, and we'd see a plethora of reveals across all the lines. Yesterday we had our first event of the year, first fan event of the year, and we got 7 reveals. So what gives?
Hopefully one of those reveals was punched above its weight a little bit. I think in short, this live stream wasn't meant to take the place of Toy Fair, and certainly we're in a different place than we were 2 or 3 years ago when it was kind of Toy Fair and then nothing else for several months. We had several bonus bounties reveals over the past several weeks. We have more coming, which is exciting. And again, we've moved, independent of the pandemic, to ensuring we have news for the community throughout the year and not just, those big 2 to 3 times a year. So I guess what I would say is, once we get through the first 3 months of the year or whatever, if we can compare the amount of reveals and the amount of news to what we would have done at Toy Fair in the past, I think it'll be comparable.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely. John, what do you got?
Yeah, just going back to the full-on play set, having the archways, the backdrops, the spit, and speaking to Jabba and his Diaz and that exclusive. As you guys are probably aware, a lot of collectors also want to display Jabba on there, and it's great to hear that his Diaz fits on there and he can fit on there. And this set is over $300 to $400 on the secondary market. Seems like great opportunity for Return of the Jedi 40th anniversary of having him repackaged in a vintage style with, you know, Salacious Crumb and maybe a certain prisoner, a dancing prisoner on a TVC card. Just throwing that out there. People would love an opportunity at getting this and having it in vintage inspired packaging.
Yeah, thank you. I would say that we definitely developed this set with multiple era use in mind, and it's something that we expect to play with and for fans to play with. We don't have any products that we can announce at this time, of course, but it's certainly been on our minds, and I think that we will always pay deference to the original trilogy debut of this scene.
Awesome. Thank you. Great to hear.
Khalil, back to you. End of round 3.
Just looking at like all the lines, and you guys said like the entertainment's coming out fast and furious, and it's harder to kind of have that development time for you guys. For us looking at it, it's probably about 2 years, maybe 3 of waiting to get like a full cast, like a main cast for a show or a movie. Does fatigue kind of play into some of your planning and looking at things for the consumer, of looking at like, you know, do I really want the figure 3 years from now? And how do you kind of work that into your planning of a roadmap?
So I would say that we do love to complete a crew. We can't always do it right away. And again, I think the balance is because there's such an awesome variety of Star Wars contents right now that if we fully only served one thing at a time, then it would, you know, really take away from other potential entertainments. And so for us, it is always a balance and a bit of a dance. And due to that, you know, sometimes completing some of the crews hasn't come as quickly as we'd like. But I would say that, again, it's never over for a crew, and it's something that is on our minds to complete a collection, because I know as a collector that completionism feeling is a really great one. So it is something that we will continue to strive for. And unfortunately, sometimes it's going to take longer than we wish, but it's always a goal.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
Awesome. In spite of our best efforts, we're going to have to try to speed round the last 2 a little bit. So let's kick it off with Chris, round 4.
I know we need to go quickly. I just want to piggyback on John. We want the sail barge Jabba, not the 2010 Jabba. That's the sail barge Jabba is the one we want.
That's what I've heard.
Yeah.
Yes,
So
tuna.
Quality Jabba.
I'm going to go off script, and I apologize for that, just in the interest of time. The pipeline revealed Anakin. We're assuming that's going to be the 3 3/4 inch Anakin from Black Series in 2013.
That is correct.
Any chance of getting a new head on that? I know it's too late to do that. Did you put a new head on that?
At this time, we were not able to add tooling to that item, but I can say you may see a fun soft goods update, which he didn't previously come with.
Oh, great. Thank you.
Cool. Matt?
Guys, the Black Series, can we expect a fan poll in 2022, regardless of who wins? I just think it'd be nice for the Star Wars team to get a sampling of what the collectors are wanting across and from the Black Series line moving forward.
Yeah, no, it's a good question. I think we've done fan polls of one sort or another kind of each year the past several years. We always hear varying levels of feedback on them. So, you know, we're always trying to assess whether those things are a positive thing for the community or not. That being said, definitely hear you. Like we want to hear what the community thinks. You know, we've mentioned, you know, we've been able to do that in the past at in-person conventions. That hasn't been kind of a possibility the past couple of years. We value these conversations for that. We do read a lot online, but we are actively exploring how we can kind of take a more direct role in that, even if it's not a fan's choice poll, kind of directly selecting a figure.
Yeah, I'd just say that I did a poll for the first time in years recently, and it went out 56,000 people saw it, 900 commented on what they wanted, and it's just a thing where I think it's a great opportunity. It doesn't matter who wins, it's the information that comes with it.
Yep, and that's the information we want. Again, it's honestly our goal to put out the figures that the community wants. And so, you know, I think several people on this call have done various polls and kind of rankings and brackets, and you know, we love reading those. Again, I think to your point, you know, we're looking at ways to improve that on our end as well.
Cool, thanks.
Absolutely. Stephen.
Clones, the Black Series 6-inch clones that you've given us with a Tamura Morrison head underneath the helmet. I understand maybe cost or licensing or whatever. Sometimes that has to be glued down, but God, it pains us when you do that. But maybe even 1 or 2 releases. Could you just give us a few clones with some Tamura Morrison painted heads? More of them, please, because we've got armies we want to fill, and sometimes the helmets need to come off. So you've got the head, you've got the paint, you've done it before. So just give us more. Give us more.
Sure. So I can't put words in the mouth of the Black Series team, but I can say that this is something we've been chasing in the vintage collection since it is a scale where we count on a lot of troop building. So with the Bad Batch Amazon pack, we did take an effort to create a diverse amount of clone heads for it. We got into some of the different hairstyles of the clones from the Bad Batch and different facial expressions. Also, before that, in our ARC Trooper 3 pack, that was 3 incredible clone portraits for Fives and Echo. And those are some of the things that, since the vintage collection is certainly focused on troop building, I think things we'll continue to play with, like fun portraits and troop building packs.
Oh, you're nailing it in the vintage collection. It's the 6-inch that I need something on.
I'll tell him. No, I think we're all very excited about Tamura and his reappearance into the content. So yeah, it's something on our minds.
Cool.
Absolutely. James, what have you got?
Nice segue into the Amazon Bad Batch 4-pack. There's lots of us that still need that, and we know that restocks are coming. Can you give us an update on when they're coming, please?
Yep, absolutely. So, obviously we all know that item went on pre-order last year, sold out quickly. Those original pre-orders should be shipping the end of this month. We announced at that time there would be additional stock available. That's still the case. Again, this is one of those state of the world things. We now do expect that additional stock to be later this year. So that's been delayed a little bit, but there's no change in the plans for that to eventually be available.
Thank you.
Absolutely. John.
When it comes to Deluxe Bib Fortuna in the play set, can we confirm that he's coming on like a blister type card and not a boxed toy photography type card?
Yeah, so I can share. Oh, go ahead, Patrick, if you want.
You go, Emily.
So I can share that we are currently planning for this to be a blister carded figure. Our team, I will give full transparency, is evaluating what the size of that blister should be. And I know that fans love to put the collector cases over a carded item. So we do want to try to aim for standard, since that would be a standard case for it where we can. But with this character, of course, it's going to be a little bit of evaluating.
Okay, gotcha. So it might not be a standard card, but it's coming on a blister.
Yeah, I would say aiming for standard if we can, but no promises, and something that we're evaluating with the final product sample.
Great to hear. Thank you.
Absolutely. Khalil.
Just looking at the play set, it brought up one question of like the excitement of Pulse being an option for stuff that we can't get at retail. Because like usually when I go into retail now, Black Series and vintage is just on a peg, and there's a very small section for it. And I miss having like the breadth of little vehicles and things. Is that something in addition? Because I think, there were Naboo starfighters everywhere during episode 1. And so like, that's a smaller piece, but we wouldn't expect it to be a HasLab, but looking at it like as a Pulse offering or a retailer offering, I think smaller stuff like that, is that smaller scale moving into kind of that harder to place realm for you guys?
I wouldn't say so necessarily. I mean, we know the play sets, the Navarro Cantina play set, coming to retail stores shortly. We've had, a play set each year. Antok Merrick's X-Wing last year. I think this was a different story, obviously, because of just the size and the resources that went into it. And as Emily mentioned in one of the earlier questions, as we mentioned yesterday, it's kind of a new class of Pulse exclusives. It gives us a way to get out those items that are still, probably too big for retail, but aren't quite at the HasLab level. And we're just excited to do that. Again, we've been kind of rolling out new formats the past several years, large and small, troop builder packs, HasLab obviously several years ago. This is kind of a new experiment, a new way to do it. And we're excited to see what happens with this new format.
Great, thanks.
Absolutely. All right. That was a good second to last speed round. We'll bring it home here with Chris.
Okay, so great news about Pulse being proliferated to the rest of Europe. Hope you keep in mind Australia, New Zealand, and Latin America too. Those fans are hurting. But with respect to Pulse, the troop builder packs, the Stormtrooper, the Rebel Fleet Trooper, and the Shore Trooper, can those people that get Pulse expect that to be available to them, because it never came to the international Shop Disney site?
Yeah, no, we're excited about the Pulse expansion as well. And, we're certainly not just saying, all right, Europe, and then it's done, without commenting on any specific plans. We're aware that there's a world beyond North America and Europe. Absolutely. I can't comment on specific listings, but, we'll certainly bring that info back. And I am hopeful that there will be some of those back items available. It won't just be when, the site launches, it's just from then on. I am hopeful we'll be able to get, some of those items available.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Matt?
Guys, I got to be honest, the last 6 months has been pretty tough for Black Series community. If I had to sum it up into a word, it would be disheartened. And that's what I see in a lot of comments on the page when different things are happening. I understand there's been unforeseen circumstances over the last couple of years, but it does seem like the Black Series has taken a heavier toll than, say, Marvel Legends. So just to give you guys a free kick, what can you say, or what do you want to say to the Black Series collectors about the next 6 months and 12 months for the line?
I'll try to make this into a speed round answer, but it's a hefty one. I mean, we don't take that lightly. I will say, the reason we all do this, we work long hours, and we're happy to, because, we love this stuff and we love bringing it to the community. I would say to the Black Series fans, we've got some great stuff coming down the line. Obviously, as we've discussed, some of it has been delayed a bit. We have great new shows coming throughout the year. The lifeblood of Black Series has always been the figures. The quality of the figures has never been better. Like, I look at some of them and I'm just, wowed by what our team led by Eric is able to do. And so we are excited about kind of the combination of the new shows coming and just the quality of the figures. And we've got some great figures coming out.
Okay, thanks.
Absolutely. Stephen.
Look, a quick one, but one that just could work really simply, even on the side of G.I. Joe boxes, on the side of Star Wars, the Black Series. Vintage is a different kind of thing, but the art is so good on these products. Fans have asked if there's some way that they can get a library of them. They could print them off, they could put them in their shelves behind them and just begin to fill these in. And it's such a simple, easy thing to do. And yeah, it really would be great to finally get some of those dioramas. A lot of fans don't sometimes get some of those missing figures, but at least they would have an image of the thing. So yes, just a suggestion. If that could ever happen, that would be amazing.
Thank you. And I really liked this suggestion. I also feel like the panoramic illustrations on the spines of the Black Series are just an absolute work of art that our team constantly impresses me with. So this is probably not something that could come together quickly, and we have no guarantees, of course, but I think it's a really fun inspiration that we could pass to our packaging team.
Cool.
All right, James, back to you.
It'd make great poster giveaways at Celebration and things. Anyway, the Razor Crest has started to ship in the US. I don't think it's shipped yet in Europe and the UK. I just wondered whether you can give us an update, whether you expect them all to ship within the next couple of weeks, or just an update, please.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We're excited. I was hoping to have mine today to display behind me. I was going to stay up late last night, but we're excited about it. Hopefully you guys saw the unboxing video by Chris, the designer. It's the ship's a work part. The video is great.
Awesome.
The majority of products should be shipping by now or shortly. We can't say it's all shipped, again, just given everything going on. Again, I look forward to getting mine soon. That includes in the UK and EU. We don't have as much visibility to that since it's not through Hasbro Pulse, but it should be coming shortly.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Absolutely. John.
Yeah, it was great seeing Chris play with his toys online.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's great to see a play set interacting with another play set, right? So the throne room with Jabba play set. Hopefully we're not done there. Hopefully there's something in the future for possibly an alcove and some Rancor pit grates. Just throwing that out there. Would love to see it kind of complete. And the alcoves could also potentially be used with something like a cantina.
I would say that I don't have plans that we can share today, but it's clear that Tatooine is a priority location that the Star Wars team keeps returning to. It's circular. And I would say that this is definitely a continued inspiration for us. And it's going to come down to, what they continue to make happen in that location and whether it continues to return in future contents. So yeah, as it's always going to be evergreen, and never say never for Tatooine.
Awesome. Thank you.
Absolutely. All right, Khalil, bring us home.
This is a lighter question. And being on the team that designs and markets the toys, who's your favorite character in Star Wars? And do you own a figure of it? Is it definitive? If it's not for you, how would you make it better?
I love this question. This is the funnest question in the question list. And I wrote a response that was too long, and I'm going to try to keep it short. So one of my favorite characters is Ahsoka, and that comes from all the way back and seeing her, introduced in the 2008 Clone Wars movie, and like watching her grow from there and just evolve into this incredible coming of age Jedi story, and then the complexity of leaving the Jedi Order, and just the incredible finale of Clone Wars season 7. And that was an arc of a Jedi that just so connected with me. So luckily I can say that I've gotten to work on what I would consider, you asked, do you have what you would consider definitive? I think that I've been able to work on what I would consider 2 definitive Ahsokas. So one being, again, that Clone Wars season 7 finale figure, and the next one being the live action version coming from The Mandalorian. So total geek out projects for me of a favorite character. And also I got to meet the voice actress Ashley Eckstein at a celebration once, and I was just dissolving into fangirl. And so that's been a pinnacle moment for me, is to work on figures of my favorite character.
That's awesome. Yeah, I know we got to go. I'll just say quickly, I'm on record, I think going back to 2018 New York Comic-Con. Growing up, I loved the expanded universe, the Truce of Bakura, Courtship of Princess Leia, and obviously the Heir to the Empire trilogy. Joris Chabath is a figure I'd love to see come to the line. We'll see every time I bring him up in meetings. Although I will say again, Saw Gerrera has become known within the team as kind of, my personal passion project going back several years. So I think there was no disagreement or no thought as to who was going to announce that pipeline reveal yesterday. So yeah, excited to see what the team does with that one, and maybe someday Joris will come to the line.
Awesome. Thank you. I'm dying for my Wicket. That's what I'm waiting for in Black Series.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And thank you guys so much. Again, I won't belabor it, but we love these conversations. It's so fun, and we know it's a lot of time out of your schedule. So thank you guys so much for taking the time. We hope kind of, life gets better for us all over the next several months. And we look forward to doing this again at some point in the future.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you all.
Thanks for having
Thank
us.
you.
Very much.
Great seeing you, Emily.
Thanks.
Bye.
See ya.